Hey, I'm James from Slipstream Creations, and in this video we're going to rebuild the brake calipers for our KZ750 scrambler build. So these calipers came to us in the bin like this. I mean, they've been kind of soaking in brake fluid, and then these pistons, it seemed like every single one of them was seized in there. So sprayed some rust penetrant into the calipers themselves to see if we could free these pistons up. So the next step, I think, is let's see if we can get those out of there. We'll soak these in the ultrasonic cleaner, get all of the grease and oil off and brake fluid off before we stick these in the bead blaster, get them cleaned up and powder coated, and then we get these rebuilt. Like I said, these have been soaking for a while, and the pistons were pretty frozen in there, but the way I think that we're going to do to try to get these pistons out is we're going to put a little compressed air in there and see if we can't force these guys out. And just because it's going to be a lot of pressure, I'm going to take a rag here and just fold it up so when that piston comes flying out of there, it doesn't cause too much damage. And I'll keep my fingers away just to make sure nothing gets stuck in there. I don't know if this is going to work or not. We may have to try to get a grease fitting in there, or a grease gun, and try to squeeze some grease in there to force them out, but we'll see. No, that guy's not moving at all. Maybe we can break it free tapping that with a hammer. Just get the piston to go the other way. There we go. Got it to move, at least. Now let's see if we can get it to come back out the other way. All right, this guy just popped out. You can see that the piston's all the way out. There we go. And actually, the piston, I got rebuild kits for these. That piston actually doesn't look too bad. But, got that. Pull this old seal out of there. That is pretty crusty. This one is ready to go in the ultrasonic cleaner. And we'll get this little bleeder valve off of there too. But this guy's ready to go. See if we can get this one out as well. It does seem to help to give it a little whack with the hammer just to free the piston up. Okay, that was it. You heard it pop. All right, well, we're very close. We got those two out. This one, I believe, is the rear. Oh, man. If we look at this, we may end up having to replace this caliper. If you look at it right here, this looks like this may have been down to bare metal. It's almost as if there was no pad in there. This looks like it's ground down from the rotor. You can kind of see it right in here. We'll see what we can do. we're gonna go ahead and get these calipers in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm gonna probably spray them off with a little bit of brake clean first just to get some of that oil off, and we'll let these guys soak. I'm gonna go look. I've actually got a KZ750 rear wheel and swing arm and rear brake, so I may have one of these calipers already on hand. So we'll see if I can find one of those. We'll get these cleaned up and start getting them rebuilt. So we got these calipers apart and cleaned up, and they're about ready to go into the bead blaster. But after taking a closer look at this rear one, I think that we've got some bigger problems. We may need to actually replace this. So the good thing is I have a KZ750 parts bike that I've been kind of hanging on to over in storage, and I was able to pull the rear caliper off of that. Now let me show you kind of what we're dealing with here, and we can see what's wrong with the old one. I called this one the old one. This is really just, it's the one that came with the bike here. But if you look at it, we can see that there's this little notch that's just sort of ground out of the caliper here. It almost looks like maybe they put this back together without the pad on, and this is the rotor itself maybe ground the caliper away. So I think that what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and pop the piston out of this guy, get it cleaned up, and then I think that we'll get both of these, or get all of them in the bead blaster, get them cleaned up and powder coated, and we'll get them rebuilt. So we've got the calipers out of the oven, got them blasted and powder coated, and they look pretty good. And we've got these rebuild kits from brakecrafters.com. So we're gonna get ready to put these back together. We can see that, and this is the old one, the caliper that was ruined. We can see that, you know, that finish looks pretty good compared to what we were working with. So we'll go ahead and get these built. Let's take a look at one of these kits here. It looks like we've got, this is actually our piston seal. This is our little boot. These are the boots for the pins. It actually comes with a little bit of grease, which is nice. Bleeder valve, crush washers, and then the piston itself. So it looks good. And there's not much to this process. Really all we're gonna do is we're gonna put a little bit of grease in here. We're going to use the supplied grease. Otherwise, you want to use something, either a little bit of brake fluid or something rubber friendly. And all we're going to do is do a little coating of this. And basically, we just want to be sure not to use anything that's going to degrade the rubber over time. But that seal looks good. And we'll just pop that in. To the little channel for it. Should go in nice and flat. All right. And I'm going to put a little grease on the piston itself too. Try to avoid getting any on that little pad surface side. And then the boot may be the trickiest part to get in here. I'm going to actually put just a touch of grease on the boot too. Let's try and get the piston into that boot first, and then we'll pull this bottom edge just off the end of the piston like this. And then I'm gonna try to insert this so that I can get the back edge into that channel. And then I'm gonna use the back end of my pick here to just try to feed this in until it goes. And I'm being real careful not to get the sharp end of the pick on there. Okay, so I think we got it in there. The boot is in there all the way around. So now, I'm just gonna push the piston in, try to get it square, and this should just slide right past that seal. So the piston itself has a little channel that the top part of the boot fits in right there. So now we got it in there. This one's just about done. I'm gonna go ahead and thread this bleeder valve in. Okay. Now we'll do the same thing essentially for both of the front calipers and we'll be all set. These calipers are all done. I think they turned out great. We went with a semi-gloss black on the finish here, which gives it just a little bit of a contrast in sheen with the matte black that we'll be using on a lot of the rest of the bike. So these are all set. We'll put them somewhere safe for now while we finish up the rest of this KZ750. If you found this content useful, please be sure to subscribe and like and follow along for the rest of this build.